My girlfriend texted, "I totaled your car and blamed you for the accident. Insurance is paying me $30,000. I responded, "Glad you're okay." Then I submitted the dashcam footage showing she was street racing while drunk. When the insurance company sued her for fraud and the police added a DUI charge. Original post I-29 email. Got the text while sitting in a meeting at work last Monday. My girlfriend Brittany, 27, had borrowed my 2021 Toyota Tacoma to run errands while her car was in the shop. The text. Bad news, babe. Got in an accident. Truck is totaled. Don't worry though. Told insurance you were driving and let me borrow it after. They're cutting a check for $30K to my account since I'm the victim. We can use it for that Hawaii trip. My coworker must have seen my face go pale because he asked if I was okay. I excused myself and called her immediately. "Britt, what the hell happened? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Just some bruises. The truck's done though, completely smashed." "You told insurance I was driving?" "Well, yeah, otherwise my rates would go up. Plus this way we get the full payout. The other driver already admitted fault anyway." "The other driver? What happened exactly?" "Just some idiot who brake-checked me. Look, I handled it. The cops already took my statement. Just stick to the story if anyone asks. You let me drive after the accident because you were shaken up." Something felt off. Really off. But I just said, "Glad you're okay. We'll talk when I get home." Here's what Brittany didn't know. I'd installed a dashcam system 3 months ago, front and rear cameras with GPS and speed tracking. They automatically upload to the cloud every time the truck connects to Wi-Fi. It's wired directly to the battery, so it runs even when parked. I logged into the app on my phone. The footage was illuminating. Brittany wasn't running errands. She was racing her friend Alexis's boyfriend's Charger on the freeway. The speedometer overlay showed she hit 97 miles per hour in a 65 zone. She was weaving between lanes, tailgating, and brake-checking other cars. Then came the crash. She tried to cut off a minivan to win the race, clipped their bumper, overcorrected, and slammed into the median barrier. The truck flipped twice. But here's the kicker. The camera also records audio inside the cabin. 10 minutes before the crash, you can clearly hear her and Alexis doing shots. Brittany's words, "3 shots of Patron and I drive better than these slowpokes." The minivan driver didn't brake check her. The minivan driver was a 68-year-old woman who Brittany nearly killed. I downloaded everything, saved it to 3 different drives, then texted back, "Glad you're okay." Update 1. 3 days later, Brittany came home that evening acting like she'd won the lottery. Insurance adjuster already called. They're fast-tracking the claim. Should have the money by Friday. I'm thinking Maui? Or maybe Cabo. I kept my face neutral. "That's great, babe. Hey, did you get checked at the hospital? That sounded like a bad crash." "Nah, I'm tough. Plus hospitals ask too many questions, you know?" "Yeah, like blood alcohol tests." She spent the next 2 days shopping online for vacation packages, designer bags, and a new car for herself. Posted all over Instagram about surviving a scary accident and how karma got the bad driver who caused it. Her friends were commenting hearts and support. Alexis posted, "My bestie is a warrior." Meanwhile, I did my homework. Found out the elderly woman driving the minivan was hospitalized with a concussion and whiplash. She was being blamed for the accident based on Brittany's statement. Her insurance was denying her claim because Brittany said she was driving aggressively. Brittany's back would have been approximately 0.12 based on her weight and the timeline. Thursday morning, I made my move. First, I called my insurance company and asked to speak to a supervisor. Explained I had dashcam footage that contradicted the claim filed. They transferred me to their fraud department. The investigator, Mr. Thompson, was very interested. "Sir, you're saying the claimant filed a fraudulent report?" "I'm saying I have HD video with audio that shows exactly what happened, including the drinking and the street racing, and her admitting via text that she lied about who was driving. Can you send us that footage immediately? Already uploading it to your secure server. And you have the original files? Multiple copies, with metadata intact." He paused. "Mr. Morrison, I need to inform you that insurance fraud is a felony. This will trigger a criminal investigation." "I understand. And you're willing to testify that Ms. Rodriguez wasn't authorized to file this claim on your behalf?" "She was authorized to borrow my truck. She wasn't authorized to commit fraud. Next, I called the police department. Got transferred to the traffic division, then to a detective when I mentioned the DUI aspect. Detective Ramirez was equally interested. You have footage of her consuming alcohol before driving? 3 shots of patron, her words, then street racing at 97 miles per hour, then causing a crash that hospitalized an innocent woman. We'll need that footage. I'll bring the original files to the station this afternoon. Finally, I contacted the elderly woman's insurance company. They were preparing to drop her coverage due to the at-fault accident. I gave them the investigator's badge number and case information. That evening, Brittany was glowing. Check cleared, $30,000. I already put a deposit on the Hawaii resort. 5-star, baby. That's great, I said. Hey, I need to run to the store. Want anything? Champagne, the good stuff. We're celebrating. I drove to my buddy Derek's apartment instead. I'd already moved my important stuff there that afternoon. The apartment was mostly Brittany's crap anyway. Her furniture, her decorations, her mess. I wasn't running. I just didn't want to be there when the police showed up. Update 2, the next day. The knock came at 7 a.m. according to my security camera notification. Yeah, I have a Ring doorbell. Brittany didn't know the password. 2 detectives and 3 uniformed officers. Brittany answered in her pajamas, clearly hungover from her celebration. The audio is muffled, but you can see her gesturing wildly, then trying to close the door. One detective holds up papers, a warrant. They walk in. 5 minutes later, she's in handcuffs being led to a squad car. My phone exploded with calls and texts. I didn't answer, but I did listen to the voicemails. What did you do? The cops are here. This is insane. They're arresting me. They said you gave them footage? Are you insane? I'm your girlfriend. How could you do this to me? Then radio silence for a few hours. Around noon, Alexis started blowing up my phone. Her boyfriend Tyler too, the Charger owner. Apparently, the cops had visited them as well. Street racing is a crime. So is conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Alexis was in the truck, heard planning the false story. But the real entertainment came that afternoon. Brittany's mom, Darlene, called from Brittany's phone. She must have bailed her out. You vicious little rat. How dare you snitch on my daughter? She committed multiple felonies, Darlene. She's a young woman who made a mistake. You're supposed to protect her. From consequences? No. She could go to prison. You've ruined her life over a car. She nearly killed an elderly woman, drove drunk, and committed fraud. She ruined her own life. That old bat is fine. Brittany said she was driving like a maniac anyway. The old bat has a concussion and medical bills, which Brittany caused while drunk, on video. You set her up. You put that camera there to spy on her. I put a Dashcam in my truck 3 months ago for insurance purposes. It paid off, just not how I expected. She went on a 10-minute rant about how I was controlling, abusive, a narcissist, etc. Then dropped the bomb. She's pregnant. You just had the mother of your child arrested. I actually laughed. No, she's not. How would you know? Because she's been drinking heavily for weeks, including 3 shots before crashing my truck. Either she's not pregnant or she's the worst mother already. Silence. Then, you're gonna pay for this. With what? The $30,000 she has to return to insurance, plus interest and penalties? She hung up. That evening, I got an email from my insurance company. They were pursuing criminal charges for fraud. The $30,000 had been frozen in Brittany's account pending investigation. Additionally, they were suing her for the full value of the truck, plus legal fees, plus punitive damages. The elderly woman's insurance also contacted me. They were reopening her case and would be pursuing Brittany for damages, medical bills, car repair, and emotional distress. Oh, and the prosecutor's office called. DUI with injury, reckless driving, street racing, leaving the scene, she didn't render aid to the woman she hit, and filing a false police report. Each charge carried potential jail time. Brittany tried calling again that night from different numbers. I didn't answer, but saved the voicemails where she alternated between begging me to recant, threatening to destroy my life, saying she loves me, calling me Satan, offering sexual favors, threatening suicide. I forwarded everything to the detective. Witness intimidation is also a crime. Update 3. 1 week later, the entitlement escalation was something to behold. First came the social media campaign. Brittany posted everywhere that I was an abusive ex who set her up. Her version: I forced her to drive drunk, then reported her out of spite when she tried to leave me. Problem is, the dashcam footage also shows her leaving the apartment that morning, happy as can be, keys in hand, me nowhere in sight. And her own Instagram stories from that day show her and Alexis at brunch, doing mimosas, an hour before the crash. Yeah, she basically documented her own DUI. Then came the flying monkeys. Her friends started harassing me, online and via text. My favorite was from her cousin. Real men don't snitch on their women. You're a beta male who couldn't handle a strong, independent woman. My response: strong, independent women don't need to commit fraud and blame others for their crimes. But Brittany wasn't done. She tried to file a restraining order against me, claimed I was harassing her by weaponizing the legal system. The judge's response, according to my lawyer: ma'am, you committed crimes. Him reporting those crimes is not harassment. Petition denied. She then tried to break into my apartment, still had a key but I'd changed the locks. The Ring doorbell caught her trying to use a credit card to jimmy the door at 2 a.m., then kicking it repeatedly while screaming about her stuff. I called the cops. She was arrested again. Violation of bail conditions. Back in jail, she called her mom to bail her out again. But here's the thing about bail: it gets higher with each violation. First bail was $5,000, second was $25,000. Darlene didn't have it. So Brittany sat in jail for 3 days until her dad, Robert, flew in from out of state. I'd actually always liked Robert, sensible guy who knew his daughter was spoiled. He called me: Tom, I'm not here to argue or threaten, just want to understand what happened. I sent him the footage. All of it. He called back an hour later. Jesus Christ, she could have killed someone. She almost did. I've been enabling her for too long. Darlene too, always bailing her out. Not your fault, Robert. It partially is. I'm bailing her out one last time, but only so she can get her affairs in order. She's on her own for lawyers. Meanwhile, the civil suits were piling up. Insurance company, $85,000. Truck value, investigation costs, legal fees, punitive damages. Elderly woman, $45,000. Medical bills, car damage, pain and suffering. My suit, $15,000. Deductibles, increased premiums. Lost wages from dealing with this. Brittany's response? She tried to countersuit me for emotional distress and defamation. Her public defender, she couldn't afford a real lawyer, basically told her to drop it. You can't sue someone for defamation when you're on video committing the acts you claim are defamatory. Update 4. The Legal Reckoning. The criminal trial was set for 6 weeks out, but the evidence was so overwhelming that the prosecutor offered a plea deal. Plead guilty to DUI with injury, insurance fraud, and reckless driving. 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, $50,000 in restitution, license suspended for 5 years. Brittany's response? I'm not pleading guilty to anything. Tom set me up. Her public defender looked exhausted. The prosecutor actually laughed. Trial it was. But first came the civil cases. Insurance fraud is apparently something insurance companies take very seriously. Who knew? They had a forensic analyst examine the footage. He testified that based on the alcohol consumption shown, her coordination during the racing, and the crash dynamics, her BAC was between 0.11 and 0.13. They had an accident reconstructionist who showed, with physics and math I didn't understand, that Brittany caused the crash by illegally changing lanes at 97 miles per hour. They had an audio expert who confirmed that was indeed Brittany's voice, saying she drove better after 3 shots. Brittany's defense? I was just joking about the alcohol. Those were water shots for TikTok. The judge: you were making a TikTok video while driving? No, before. The water shots were before. The footage shows you consuming liquid from a Patron bottle. It was water in a Patron bottle, for the joke. The prosecutor then produced the receipt from the liquor store, timestamped 1 hour before the crash. 1 bottle of Patron Silver, paid with Brittany's credit card. The civil judgment: $93,000 to the insurance company, $52,000 to the elderly woman, judge added punitive damages, $18,000 to me. Total, $163,000. Brittany's assets: about $3,000 in savings and a 2009 Honda Civic worth maybe $4,000. The week before the criminal trial, Brittany got desperate. She called me from her mom's phone. I'd blocked everything else. Please, Tom. I'm sorry. I screwed up. But prison? That's insane. Just tell them you were mistaken about the footage. Mistaken about HD video? Say it was edited or corrupted, something. Commit perjury to save you from consequences? No. I'll do anything. I'll sign whatever you want. I'll leave the state. Just please don't let me go to prison. You almost killed an innocent woman while driving drunk. You committed fraud. You tried to frame that woman for your crimes. Prison is where you belong. I was your girlfriend. We were together 2 years. That means nothing to you? It meant something until you revealed who you really are. A selfish, entitled criminal who takes no responsibility for anything. I hope you die alone, better than almost killing someone because I wanted to race while drunk. Update 5. The trial. Brittany showed up to court in a conservative outfit I'd never seen her wear, looking like she was auditioning for a church choir. Her mom had hired a decent lawyer at the last minute, probably took out a loan. The lawyer's strategy was interesting. Claim I had manipulated the footage and set Brittany up because she was about to break up with me. The prosecutor's response was beautiful. He played the full footage, not just the crash. 2 hours of Brittany and Alexis's conversation. Highlights included Brittany discussing how she was getting bored with me but liked my money, planning to squeeze me for a vacation before dumping me, laughing about keying her ex's car, admitting she'd driven drunk dozens of times without getting caught, saying the elderly were too slow and shouldn't be allowed to drive. The elderly woman she hit, Mrs. Chen, plot twist, nobody saw that coming, testified from a wheelchair. She developed complications from the concussion, still having memory issues. Had to move in with her daughter because she couldn't live alone anymore. When asked if she'd been driving aggressively, Mrs. Chen simply said, I was driving 65 in the slow lane, as I've done for 30 years without a single accident, until she hit me. Alexis was called to testify. She'd made her own deal for immunity in exchange for testimony. She confirmed everything, the drinking, the racing, the plan to blame someone else. Then came Tyler, Alexis's boyfriend with the Charger. He testified that Brittany had asked to race, offered to bet $500 on it. He declined the bet but agreed to race for fun. Brittany's mom had an outburst. They're all lying. My baby would never do this. The judge had her removed. When Brittany took the stand, her lawyer tried to paint her as a young woman who made one mistake in an otherwise spotless life. The prosecutor destroyed that in cross-examination. Ms. Rodriguez, is this your Twitter account? Yes. Can you read this tweet from last year? I don't remember. It says, just drove home from the club buzzed AF. I'm invincible. Is that your tweet? And this Instagram post of you holding a beer while sitting in the driver's seat? That was parked. The background is clearly moving. It went on for an hour. Years of social media posts bragging about drinking and driving, speeding, racing. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Final update. Sentencing and aftermath. The judge gave her 2.5 years in prison. More than the plea deal because she showed zero remorse and repeatedly tried to manipulate the system. Brittany collapsed. Full dramatic breakdown had to be carried out. Her mom screamed that I was Satan and would burn in hell for this. Robert, her dad, found me outside the courthouse, shook my hand. He did the right thing. Maybe prison will finally teach her consequences exist. The aftermath. Brittany's license was revoked for 10 years. She owes $163,000 in civil judgments, which will follow her forever. She has a felony record, making employment difficult. The insurance fraud conviction means no insurer will ever cover her again. Mrs. Chen partially recovered, but still has issues. She sued Brittany's mom too, deep pockets theory, since Brittany was on her insurance. Settled for an undisclosed amount. Alexis got 100 hours of community service and probation. She and Tyler broke up. Street racing in his car was apparently the last straw. As for me, I got a partial settlement from my insurance for the trouble, about $10,000 after everything. Bought a used F-150 to replace the Tacoma. And yes, it has a dashcam. Front, rear, and interior. 4K resolution. I heard through the grapevine that Brittany tried to start a prison blog about being a victim of the system. It got taken down when she used it to harass Mrs. Chen's family. Her mom, Darlene, still posts about her wrongfully imprisoned daughter. The comments are mostly people pointing out that there's literally video of the crimes. Last week I got a letter from Brittany in prison. Just one line. I still think you overreacted. Zero remorse. Zero self-awareness. Zero personal responsibility. Some people ask if I feel bad about sending my ex to prison. The answer is no. I didn't send her to prison. Her choices did. She chose to drink. She chose to drive. She chose to race. She chose to crash into an innocent woman. She chose to lie about it. She chose to commit fraud. She chose to blame her victim. All I did was make sure the truth came out. The Dashcam cost me $400. Best investment I ever made. To anyone reading this, get a Dashcam. You never know when someone you trust will throw you under the bus, or in Brittany's case, crash the truck and try to cash in on it. And if someone shows you who they really are, entitled, reckless, willing to destroy others for their benefit, believe them the first time. Don't wait for them to total your truck to figure it out.